AliExpress, anybody ever looked at it? The stereo equipment, has anybody ever tried it? There's a guy on YouTube that is reviewing. He buys stuff for like $1,200, and he reviews it, and he opens it, and he talks about how well it's built. He talks about all kinds of different stuff, and the truth is some of it is absolutely built extremely well, and he says it sounds absolutely fabulous. Now, there's a lot of, designers, engineers, companies in general that have a lot of their equipment built in China, overseen by their quality control. So an American or a French person or a British person or maybe a team of them will be in China, and basically China's just basically assembling, for them. They're just assembling the product that they've designed. And, constructing this and constructing that and putting it all together. And, they've got a quality control. And there's actually a Russian guy who reviews stereo equipment that's been into a couple of these factories. He's been into Tone Winner's factory. He's been into another factory. I can't remember what it was. Like, they all have Chinese names. So I can't even spell it. Never mind say it. But these products, a lot of them are clones. Like there's AccuPhase clones, there's Bryston clones, there's Berlin clones, there's all these clones. And there's amplifiers that are type A that go up to, I don't know, like the huge wattage, like 100 watts in class A. There's AB amplifiers, there's mono blocks, there's preamplifiers, there's processors, there's all kinds of things. And I mean, this stuff is selling because it'll tell you on the app how many have sold in the last month, just like Amazon does, because that's basically the Oriental version of Amazon is AliExpress. Like if you want like something really simple, like an SMSL SU1 DAC converter, digital to analog converter, you can buy that off AliExpress. Like if you were to drop a 1992 Jeep Cherokee off in the middle of China somewhere, those guys would tear it apart, examine it, measure it, and re-engineer it and start construction 6 weeks later on that particular model of Jeep. The only difference is they wouldn't use the 4-liter model, they'd use the 2.5-liter model, and they might use a different engine. Do you want to know how I know that? Because they've already done it. You can see them in videos. Google it or YouTube it. It's crazy. So I don't know how many, like, let's use another example, okay? A GX160 Honda engine. They use them on power trowels. They use them on plate tampers. They use them on pressure washers. They use them on all kinds of things. And they're about $700 at a Honda dealership in Canada. Now, if you go to Harbor Freight in the United States or you go to Princess Auto in Canada, which are basically the same idea, that bring in a lot of products from China and they sell them, well, you can get a motor for $200 and it's an exact identical copy of a Honda GX160. And I'm only using that model because I have done this 15 different times, especially with plate tampers for little compactors and things like that, because you know what those motors eat for lunch? They eat dirt. They eat dirt and dirt and dirt, and we clean the carburetors out on them all the time. I have 2 carburetors in my vehicle just for that engine. You can buy those off Amazon for like $29.99. You just pop the carburetor off, put a brand new carburetor on, boom, Bob's your uncle, you're running. And the same is true with Honda, except the Honda carburetor is worth about I don't know, $150, and you can put one of these little Amazon ones on it, and it just works just the same, identical. And does it last as long? I don't really care, because it's going to eat dirt all day long, especially if you don't have any water around to water down what you've got to compact. And in this industry that I work in, water is scarce in a lot of places. And to talk a client into bringing water in is like not twisting anybody's arm. It's like arm wrestling. So that's one of my comparisons. But what I'm thinking is I think I want to get a couple of these amps and review them and see how good they are. And depending on the tariffs, depending on this and depending on that, because if they're of high quality and they're, within this much of, a higher end brand, like what's stopping China from becoming the old Japan? Like with AccuPhase. Like, don't get me wrong, AccuPhase is probably like one of the top shelf pieces of equipment that you can buy. But how good are these Chinese products? Because these two reviewers that review this stuff, like they've got Bang & Olufsen in their back pictures of their videos. They've got Bowers & Wilkins speakers sitting there. The Russian guy, he's got some fancy shit going on. And Russia and China, they can talk, because they're not both communists. But is China communist? I don't really think so. I think they're just a huge capitalist country that's run by a dictatorship. And same with Russia. I mean, there's millionaires here and there and everywhere. I mean, look at the guy who owns Alibaba, which owns AliExpress. When Trump started introducing the tariffs, he was the richest man in the world for 5 days. 5 days, he was the richest man in the world. That's ancient history now, but it was, happening in February or March or something like that. And we live in a global market. We just do. We live in a global market. And unfortunately, and I talked about this yesterday on a previous video with regards to the Clips Cornwall and how it is getting out of touch for other countries that don't have the valued dollar like the U.S. economy. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not a Trumper. I once was. I think the guy's kind of lost his marbles in a lot of ways. But I'm just kind of like shake my head and I'm just like, come on, man. These tariffs are going to hurt you and they're going to hurt everybody else. They might do good for a while, but they're going to hurt your people. And that doesn't take an economist to figure out. It just doesn't. Like, if you're going to buy a Macintosh amplifier, you're going to be paying more simply because of the tariffs on the copper. Do you know how much copper is involved with the Macintosh amplifier? Quite a bit. Solder is probably going to go up. Speaker cables are going to go up. Speakers are going to go up because they got a lot of copper in them. And then there's the tricksters that say, oh, everything else is going up. Why don't we just knock our stuff up a little bit more too? You know what I mean? Because you see that too. You see that everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, is there tariffs on coffee? Well, clearly not, because McDonald's has finally realized that in order to sell their food, because it tastes like shit and it is shit for you, what's the best way to get a person through the door for breakfast? Well, that's simple. Give them cheap coffee. But then there's guys like me, where the only thing we buy at McDonald's is coffee. Okay, I'm getting off topic. But the truth is how much of this Oriental Chinese stuff that's being manufactured in China, and they've learned, they have studied what they are doing. Do you want to know why? Because there's an iPad right there. That's built in China. There's an iPad or an iPhone right here. And you know how I know? Because it's built in China. And that right there is built in Malaysia. The clip speakers I have that are non-heritage are built in China. GR Research is having the boxes of his speakers manufactured in China by a very reputable furniture company. My buddy Todd, who runs a huge electrical company, buys all of his conduit from China. How bad could it be? How bad could it be? Anyway, I know there's some really shitty products that come out of China, but the way these reviewers are reviewing this stereo stuff, like, you can't make a bad piece of stereo equipment. Well, you can, but you shouldn't, because then I always kind of go like, okay, so if you want to get your client addicted to something, make sure that you give them the good stuff. And you can take that for what it's worth, but let's use Crown Royal. Crown Royal. Doug Ford's really good at Crown Royal lately. Crown Royal is some of the best whiskey in the world. How do I know this? Because 14 years ago, prior to becoming sober, I drank a bit of it, and it's very flavorful. I like Jack Daniels better, but I'm more of a Tennessee whiskey kind of a guy. Anyway, I'm really interested in this Oriental stuff, because the Americans, well, they're getting out of hand, and they've been out of hand for a long time. So you guys can bash China all you want. Japan built everything for us that was good. And then Japan kept all the really, 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 really good shit for themselves. So we don't even know about it. Well, some of it gets demonstrated every once in a while. But the real high-end 1970s Japanese shit, like Pioneer had and Denon had and different companies like that, sorry, that's still in Japan. Trust me. I've watched enough videos to know. So is China the new Japan? I'm curious, because if that's the case, and if it's like incremental improvements, like a Macintosh versus a whatever, or a Cambridge versus and Cambridge is manufactured in China, like overseen by the British, but Cambridge is made in China. I don't care. The country of origin is still Britain, but the manufacturing is done in China. Pioneer, made in Malaysia. Onkyo, made in Malaysia. And probably Integra, made in Malaysia. Like, is Marantz made in America? Because Marantz used to be made in Japan. So, what about this Chinese stuff? What about it? Anyway, sound off in the comments. Do you own any of it? What do you own? How good is it? Let me know. I'm curious.